Hi, welcome to the Shipwrecked Sheep channel. This is episode 4 of the Knitting Podcast, and I'm your host, Shelby. Today is November 29th, and I'm actually recording this on the same day that it's being posted. So if you see it come up much later in the afternoon than it has been, that's because I have to go ahead and do all of the recording, editing, captioning, etc. all in the same day. And again, because of that, if you are new, you won't notice this difference. But if you are a returning viewer, you will notice that I'm not putting in a lot of the kind of segment break graphics. I'm just not going to edit them in. I'm going to do this in as few kind of takes as possible so that it's easier to edit and upload and get to captioning, because I can't do the captioning on YouTube until I think about 45 minutes to an hour after it's uploaded, because it takes that long for it to recognize the language and audio and have the captioning kind of pre-filled. And then I go in and edit it so that it is accurate for all of those who like to use subtitles or need to use subtitles. So, like I said, we're going to do it as straight shot as possible, and there won't be any of the fun graphics, but I will still try to put the project graphics in the corners. If I don't put them, everything is always in the description box below. So if you don't see the little pop-ups that say the name of the project and who designed it or whatever, just know that all that information is always in the description box below. Yeah, there's that. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So before we jump into it, like I said, today is November 29th, and because I'm recording a little bit later than I normally would, I usually record 2 days before I post. That way I have time to edit and upload and do the captions. Because of the Thanksgiving holiday in the United States, falling on the day that I would normally record, and the fact that I took a really long nap on Thursday, I am recording on Saturday. So we have 2 extra days of making, and I've got to tell you, I don't know that I have enough making progress that makes sense to make up for it. So we'll get into that. I do have a couple of projects to show you though, and a finished project. So this covers my making from, it looks like November 13th. So this video covers my making from November 13th to November 29th, and about kind of midway through the day is the usual cutoff for the before and the after of that. So let's go ahead and jump right into my current projects, and I will start with the one that has me kind of in a chokehold here. This has been my only knitting since Wednesday after work. So all of Wednesday evening, Thursday, Friday, and today, Saturday morning. I have been working on the Ooey Gooey socks by Andrea Mowry, because right now is the fall sock knit along challenge that she hosts every year. There is a knit along challenge for whichever sock pattern she published in the fall, and everybody who is participating casts on the Wednesday afternoon before Thanksgiving and has to be finished by the Monday morning after. So it's, I think, like 5 and a half days of knitting. So you can start at 5 p.m. Eastern time on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and you have to have finished and submitted your entry to win if you finish your project by Monday at, I think, 9 a.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Eastern. All I know is that for me, I was able to start after 2 p.m. Pacific time where I am, and I have to have it submitted either by 6 or 7 a.m. Monday, which means I really only have through Sunday night, because there is no way that I am going to get up before 6 or 7 a.m. to put finishing touches on a project. It's just not happening. So I only have through Sunday night. And also I was not able to start at Wednesday at 2 p.m. my local time because I was still at work. So let me show you what I have, and then I'll show you how I got here. So these are currently being worked 2 at a time on a 40-inch circular for magic loop style knitting. So we're past heels. I think we are, I want to say that's probably 4 or 5 inches past the heel, but only about 2 inches past the end of the gusset decreases. So yes, let's go ahead and talk about how we got to what we have here. First, I started this with 2 different colors, or I planned on starting this with 2 different colors. So the first color, the first contrast color I chose, I had picked a mini skein, and then after winding it up, remembered that for my size and most sizes, you need about 30 grams of the contrast color. That's the purple here. And so the mini skein, which was 20 grams, would not work. And I'll show you that later in acquisitions. I'm not going to show it to you now because I didn't end up using it in this, but it is something that I had recently gotten. So I quickly switched to and by the way, this gray was not my original main color. So I quickly switched to this purple because I already had it wound up. It was a full cake and I knew I was only going to need to use about 60 grams of it for a different project whenever I do that other project. And so I thought, well, it's already caked up. I don't need all of it. I'll have enough that I can use it for this project first. So I started with this, and my original main color was going to be this skein of hand spun that I spun a couple of years ago. It is about it's like a heavy fingering 3-ply, I believe it's Cheviot wool. And I started, as you can see, there is some that I have wound back onto the cake. I did start, I started the socks. When I say I'm doing these 2 at a time, I actually got all the way through the heels, this part of the heel, before I put them together. Basically, I knit one sock to the heel and then put it on hold, and then knit the other sock through the heel, and then put them together in order to do the gusset. So I had knit all of the purple, and then I had started knitting the first welt out of this color, and then I realized that I was not enjoying the gauge of it because this is a light fingering yarn, and this is more of a heavy fingering weight yarn, and it is definitely a coarser wool than the merino. So I ripped out the little bit that I had knit onto it, and then I quickly found, because this is like a 4 or 5 day knitting challenge, I was like, I do not have time for backing up. And so I found this. This was pre-caked as well. There was 75 grams or so when I started, because I had used this as a contrast for the Royal Jelly socks pattern that I had put out a couple years ago. And then I updated it just a month or 2 ago to just be a better formatted pattern. And that's available now, by the way. I will put a link below to the Royal Jelly socks pattern, but it was also a colorwork cuff sort of pattern. And so it used about 25 grams. And so I had 75 grams left, and I know that that's enough for a main color for a sock in my size. And so I quickly switched to that, and that's how we have these 2 colors together. I don't know that these would have been any of my first or second or even third choice. Had I planned more for this, I'm not sure that I would have put these together. However, I am enjoying how they are looking, and because these colors together remind me very much of somebody who is giftable, knit-worthy in my life, these will be a Christmas holiday gift. Now, the pattern looks so not super good before blocking, but yeah, it is the Ooey Gooey Socks by Andrea Mowry. Let me give you some details now about the actual yarn that I'm using. So the purple, did I bring the full skein? I did not, but I should have a tag. The purple is from Teal Torch Knits. It is the Dancing on Top of Cars colorway. And this is the Evelyn base, which is a light fingering weight yarn. It is a 4-ply, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon with 450 yards per 100 grams. And I think that I've shown this yarn before because of my intentions to use it with a different project, and I still will. I'm good with using it for this first. So I really love how it works up. It is such a beautiful purple. And the gray is, I do not have the tag for this because I originally knit with this yarn like 4 or 5 years ago. So maybe only like 3 years ago. But that the ball band is long since been lost. But it is the Manos del Uruguay Alegria sock base in the Kohl, K-O-H-L, colorway. And so I really love how it is working up. In order to get the correct length for the foot that I need, this wood stitch round keeper marker, whatever, marks the last round of where the gusset decreases were, and I need 4 inches from that before I start the color work near the toe. Because the person who these will be for, I wear a size US women's 9 shoe, so I have larger than average feet. And the person that these are for wears, I believe, like a 9.5, almost 10, like comfortable in some size 10s, comfortable in some size 9s, and so a little bit longer, and so that's the foot currently, and from here I need 4 more inches before I even start the reverse color work sequence. So it's a lot of knitting to do, and I only have, as of right now, this second, about a half a day, so like a full afternoon and evening, and then another full day where I have a day off. So now that I've thoroughly twisted my 2 balls of yarn, I'm working from 2 separate little cakes of yarn. Now that I've thoroughly kind of twisted them up, yeah, that's what I've got. This little neon marker, in case you're interested, is just marking 10 rounds from this one to this one, and then I've done an additional 10 rounds since then, so 20 rounds since this marker, and I believe I'll need about 50 rounds to make 4 inches. So my goal is to get through that 4 total inches from here today, so that I can either start the color work this evening or tomorrow morning. And then it's color work that is the reverse of this and the toe, and that's it. So I think it is reasonable. I definitely don't love the competitive. It's only competitive against myself. I mean, there are prizes to win, but the prize draw is random as long as you finish. So I don't love the kind of quick, fast knit along pace, but I actually am enjoying it. So it just means that I can't work on anything else. I think that is all the details for that. I am using my own standard size of needles that I typically use. which is a 2.5 millimeter or a US 1.5. The pattern does not specifically call for this size. And I also did not use a smaller size for the cuff. I just typically never do that, and I find that to be okay for me. I'm not using the pattern size recommended, and I'm only very little paying attention to the row gauge because that matters in terms of making sure the sock will fit after the color work and measurements, etc. But I'm not really paying attention to the stitch gauge and only a little bit paying attention to row gauge because I know that these size needles will make a fitting sock for the stitch count that's offered in the pattern. And so I didn't bother to change my gauge by using a different needle size. And in fact, because I'm a tighter knitter, I would have had to go up to a US 2 or a US 2.5. And I just don't love the socks that those make for me personally. And so, yeah, there is that. Let's see if my tea has cooled down enough to drink it. I just finished steeping this before I started. This is the Caribbean Crush. It is an herbal fruit infusion type of tea. And I'm using my favorite David's Tea cat's mug. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so the second hat that I have been working on since the last episode, I have not obviously worked on since Wednesday because I have really been working on these. And also, you're going to notice that something I've been talking about in the last couple episodes has sort of come to fruition about kind of why I don't like to do center pull and why those yarn cozies were kind of a game changer for me when it came to center pull cakes of yarn. So let me just start by showing you the yarn so that I can set it down. So this was a lovely cake of yarn, and then I decided to center pull it without a yarn cozy around it. And now it is just kind of a floppy mess, when it should look a little bit more like, this is a different colorway, a little more like this. But this one I pulled from the outside. The reason I did an interior or inside inner pull, whatever you want to, center pull, thank you, center pull on this was because I had wound up both cakes that I needed for this project. And then I realized that in order to have what I felt would be the nicest color progression from one cake to another, because this is a sort of color shifting yarn, using two skeins, you don't always get a nice transition from one skein to the next. And so when I wound them up, I realized that one of the ends would transition nicely into the other end. I just had to center pull the first one and then outside pull the second one. And so I am doing that. I haven't added the second skein into the project yet, but I'm doing that, and that's why I center pulled this. And I should have put a little cozy protector on it because it's just delicate. But maybe you saw where I was going with this. I did start another Gushy Garter hat by Park Williams. And I have a finished one to show you, not to give spoilers, but I do have the finished one from last time to show you. But I started a second one. So again, this is the Gushy Garter hat by Park Williams, or Park and Knit. The yarn is Spincycle Yarn's Plump in the colorway 11th Hour. Let me just, yeah, 11th Hour. Yeah. And it's very pretty. I really like the colors. I like them a lot. And so, like I had shown before, this pattern, you you fold up the bottom 3 inches. So you work in garter stitch the first about 3 inches, and then you continue working in garter stitch, but you move which side your slip stitch ridge is on. So on the inside, here it is there, and then after that 3 inches, when you start to be ready to fold it up, you move the slip stitch detail to the outside. So this will fold right here like that. And I'm almost to where the actual knitting will show up again, because for the last few inches, it's just been everything that's on the inside. So, but this is basically the brim, and then the hat inside the brim is all I have for now. And I had mentioned this before, but it is just a really fun, like, squishy garter stitch hat knit with bulky weight. And in the pattern, she actually gives you multiple different formulas for using scrap yarn of varying weights. So if you want to use several strands of fingering weight, or some fingering weight and DK, or several strands of DK, whatever, she does give very detailed different formulas for however you want to mix and match your yarns if you're not using the Plump, but it calls for Plump. I am making this hat as part of the Plump Along that is hosted by Spincycle Yarns, which ends on December 13th. And because it is a hat, it is also part of the Hat Make Along that I am hosting through the end of January. There are more details about the Hat Make Along in last episode, but I will probably cover that really... Actually, I'll just talk about it now. So the Hat Make Along is a 3-month make along. November is now over, but you still have December and January to join, and you can make as many hats as you want. I still think I'm probably going to try and give a prize to whoever makes the most hats. You can crochet or knit them, and you can enter them in the Ravelry forum, and links are down below in the description box in this video as well as in the last video. So I think there's more details in that last video, but that's the kind of rundown for now. So yeah, so there's my Gushy garter hat. I will say there is one change. These ones I'm knitting on one size larger. So these are 7mm needles, whereas the first one I made, I used 6.5mm, which is a US 10.5. 7mm, I think, is like US 7. Does it say on these? Not 7. 10.75, which is a kind of a rarer size. ChiaoGoo makes 10.75 and like a 10.825 or something, to give you the 7 and I think 7.5mm sizes, which are significantly less common. And these are interchangeable needles on a short circular for knitting, a total of 16-inch circumference knitting. I decided to go up a needle size with this because when I tried on the first one I made, which isn't for me, but this one might be, when I tried on the first one, it felt nice, but it was a little bit snug, like a hair more snug than I would personally like. And so without going up a size in hat, because I felt like that would end up being too loose, I just decided to go up one needle size, and I'm happy with the fabric that I'm getting. So there is the Gushy garter hat in the colorway 11th Hour is currently in progress, except it's on hold until I finish these socks. Oh, also, I will say that this works up kind of slowly for me, because although it is a bulky yarn on a large needle, my hands cramp really fast when I use bulky yarns and large needles. I think that they're cramping a little bit less now that I've slightly loosened the gauge with the larger needle, but it definitely still causes hand cramping for me. One more thing. Before I cast on these socks, This was not the only thing that I was working on in the past 2 weeks. So the, like, I don't know, roughly 10 or 12 days of making from the last episode to when I started those socks. This wasn't the only thing I was making. I think I alluded to this in last week's, or the last episode, but I might have actually cut it out. There is one other project that is on my needles that I'm not sharing because it is a design project that I don't want to talk about until I'm more progressed with it. And so that is something that was keeping my attention alongside this. So I would switch back and forth between this and that one, which is at a smaller gauge, to kind of give my hands a break from this and then also give my brain a break from the design. And so those two projects side by side were really nice, but I have dropped both this and that design project in order to make these socks during the knit along challenge. So there is that. Okay, now that I have sort of talked about everything that's on the desk, I can probably put my mug back up here instead of, I've been having it sit on top of like a box that's a little bit low to the ground, but now I can have it on my desk next to me. So I have the one finished project which I had shown you last time. This might have been the only whip that I had last time. Last episode, current projects. Yeah, the only current project I had last week was this one. And so thus it is the only finished thing that I have. And that is the other Gushy Garter hat. This is out of the colorway Vibe Check. So this is where the fold seam is. A couple things about this. So I made this one using 6.5 millimeter needles, US 10.5, which I believe is what is called for in the pattern. I did only make the brim about 2.5 inches, or maybe it's a little bit shorter than the pattern called for, just because I felt like it. The top looks like this. I know a lot of people like to see what the tops of hat patterns look like. I love this. Once I finished this and bound off or whatever, I think I wove in the ends or something, and I love this hat. As much as I don't enjoy knitting bulky weight, I really loved making this. So this is the full length of knitting. Let me give you an idea of that. So that's the full length of the knit. I have not woven this end. The pattern does suggest using an extra large pom-pom maker and putting a big pom-pom on top, and it looks so cute, but I don't know where my extra large pom-pom maker is, if I still have it. And I thought this would look really cute with a large fluffy palm on top. So I looked in my stash and realized very quickly that I only have 2 of the like faux fur palms, and both of them were smaller. And I just think because this is such a thick gauge, it will look so much better with a fluffy palm that is really large. So here's the yarn that I had left over. Definitely is enough to make a palm, but I just didn't want to. I instead ordered a couple. We're gonna have some crinkles here, so that if that bothers you, just take a deep breath. We'll get through it really fast. I ordered some large palms from Knit Picks because they've been having I think it might be a clearance sale for their 12 centimeter diameter faux fur palms. So I ordered quite a few of them, but I have 3 really good contenders for using on this hat. So all of them are kind of pink, except this one is more of a purple magenta. And so, yeah, that's what we're working with. I'm not sure which one I will pick yet. but that's what I'm gonna use. And these are pretty large. These are pretty large size, so they'll go really nicely. These are 100% polyester, by the way. They don't use any genuine animal fur, which, depending on the brand and how they're made, sometimes using genuine, there are some that are made out of alpaca, and they don't harm the animal. They just use a long alpaca fibers and make the palms out of those. But these are 100% polyester. So that is finished except for the palm, and I will add the palm very soon once I decide which one to use. So yeah, that kind of dips us into acquisitions a little bit, of which I will do next. But yeah, that's my one finished project. I hope that by the time I do the next episode in 2 weeks, that I will have finished socks, another finished hat, and maybe something else. Yeah, I think that with these socks, I want to finish them up in the next day and a half, and that hat probably would only take me maybe a day or two to finish. That leaves me a little over a week full of knitting that I could maybe have another FO, but definitely something new to show you. I am going to skip the upcoming projects segment of the video because I don't really have anything new to talk about in upcoming projects. Basically, just now I alluded to the fact that there will be some, but I don't fully know where we're going. I have not picked up Telesto yet. I haven't even tried it on since I mentioned I had blocked it mid-project, and I still haven't tried it on yet. So there is that, but it's... maybe that's what I'll work on. We're just going to see how we feel. I'm not like abandoning the Telesto project. It's just that it wasn't really exciting me for a time period there. And I do have some kind of gift knits that I do want to work on. That would be good for the Christmas holiday. And so we'll see. We'll see what I get up to in the next couple of weeks. You'll have to watch the next video to find out what I do get up to. So make sure that you subscribe so that you get notified when that one comes up. All right, let's talk acquisitions. Now, I am not really loving buying yarn in this stage of my life and in my knitting and yarn crafting journey. But that doesn't mean I don't ever do it. And so I have a few things that I've purchased, and I will explain why and my thought process behind those. But I do want to note that I do have a bunch more of these. I'm not going to pick them up, but I bought, I think, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I bought 10 pom-poms. So I won't pick up all of them, but I did get a couple of different, this one's kind of a two-toned one. We've got a couple different shades of blue. So yeah, there's a bunch of them. They were on, I bumped the camera, the tripod, whatever. They were on sale when I was looking and had bought the other ones that I wanted for this hat. And so I thought, let me get a few more. They can go with the rest of my Gushy Garter hats if I decide, and just have more on hand because, you know, it's good to, in my opinion, it's good to kind of have those types of accessories already kind of available in your, you know, your cache of knitting and yarn crafting related goods, so that you don't have to hold off forever to finish a project, especially if you have things to go with things. The next thing I have to show you is also not yarn, and I'm very excited about this in kind of an unnatural amount of excitement, I feel like. So I noticed that my good friend Jen had posted, they had finished one of their designs. I think it's called the Gemology Knits, I think. They'd posted this on Instagram, and I I was just really in love with the mitten blockers that they were showing in the picture. I don't know if the design is out yet. I just know that they've finished making them. And I was like, hey, where did you get those mitten blockers? And it turns out that the maker of the mitten blockers is near to me. It like, as the crow flies, only maybe like 20 miles. No, not 20 miles. Yeah, like less than 20 miles maybe. But because of islands in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, it's like an hour drive or more. And because of the way the U.S. postal system works, I knew that if I bought these, it would take, if she shipped them to me, it would take a little over a week to get to me because everything has to go to Seattle first before coming back out to the individual post offices. So from Sunrise Grove Knittery, or sunrisegrove.com, or I got them off the Etsy shop, I ordered some mitten blockers. And I was able to ask her to meet up with me. And that way I could get them a few days sooner. And so I did. So I ordered mitten blockers in 2 different sizes and 2 different styles. So this is the mushrooms style. And they also come with, so these are the little thumbs. And so you do remove it from this cable. I probably could do that to show you. So there's a nice cable ring that connects everything. And I ordered 2 sets, but I'm only going to take this off of the one so that I can show you. So let me just, so it comes with this piece so that you can place that through the thumb of your mitten. And then it also comes with these pieces that sit on top. So if you're using that kind of like Nordic mitten style, I think it is, you can block that more pointed tip. So very excited about that. The second set that I got is, so this is the size medium, and I also got a size small. And so that is the little bees. Isn't that so cute? So I'm excited about those. In the box, she also included a couple of these wood progress keepers, which the butterfly from these guys also came on here. And then last but not least, I also ordered a pair of acrylic toddler size sock blockers. Now, those of you who know me from any of my decade on the internet know that I have no toddlers in my house right now. My youngest is 10 and a half, and I don't have a toddler in my house, but I have a 5-month-old niece. And so I thought it would be really cute to knit her a bunch of little socks for her first birthday and like send a little bundle of hand knit socks. And so I thought it would be cute to get these so that they can just be a little bit more presentable, but also these are just darling and adorable. So these are like an acrylic type material, and then these are a wood, like I don't remember the name of the type of wood that they use for laser cutting. It's kind of like an MDF type wood. But yeah, so I was able to meet with her. She handed me this box, and we met up at the Stilly River Yarns local yarn shop, which, like I said, is a little over an hour away from me, and by actual driving. And she handed this off to me, and then we collectively went to squish the Juniper Moon Farm Rambouillet. And I could not resist, because I had been looking at this Rambouillet for a while online and just not totally sure if I was, like, if it was everything I was dreaming of for it to be. And so I ended up getting it. I loved it so much that I grabbed a few skeins So let me just pull these out and show you. So this is the Juniper Moon Farm Rambouillet, which is an extra fine Rambouillet wool. Rambouillet is a sheep breed blend of merino sheep and something else. But it's just so extremely lovely and squishy and soft. And so this is a DK weight. It comes with 273 yards per 100 grams. And I got 3 skeins that I'm kind of been dreaming of projects for the last couple of weeks. Last week and a half since I met up with them. So we have the colorway Aegean, Aegean, the colorway Silver Lining, this gray, and then the colorway Daffodil, this yellow. And it's so beautiful and so squishy, and I'm very excited. I think it will become a hat and mitten set. But I'm either going to design the pattern to use all 3 colors or find some type of colorwork pattern. I'm not sure yet. I just know that they're going to go together and that it's going to be a hat and mitten set, I think. And then right before I checked out, I noticed that they also had some of this lovely natural, I think it was natural in like 3 or 4 different colors, Wensleydale. So this is the Wensleydale Long Wool by Shoot the Moon Vineyard and Farm. And I believe it is processed through Skagit Valley Woolen Works. So this is like ridiculously local wool. This is also a DK, a 2-ply. It's got 200 yards for 110 grams, which tells me that this is like a woolen spun. And also I knew that it was a woolen spun, but the Wensleydale just feels like squishing this feels like you're squishing the like raw unprocessed locks of a Wensleydale sheep. It's like so clearly beautifully processed, but also feels so raw and natural. And I just could not, like, I sat there like fondling this skein for so long, and I finally went, okay, I have to leave, but I think I have to take this with me because I touched it so much. So let me just read the little snippet on the back. Oh, maybe the sticker is mostly covering it. Wensleydales are a British breed of domestic sheep. They're characterized by kemp-free, long, curly locks of wool. The absence of kemp makes for a strong, lustrous, and silky fiber, perfect for most knitting and crochet. And then it also says knit local and knit often. And it's like a dream. It's so gorgeous. I love the little kind of duck in a helmet logo that they've got. It's so pretty. So I don't actually, and also look at the drape on this. Like, come on. I don't actually have any clue what I'm making with this. It might be, I don't know. I'm thinking it might be a hat, like a muscle burr hat. Like I know that the muscle burr hat is more, like more people use like a fingering weight yarn for it because of just like it gives you the best like yardage per whatever. Anyways, so I don't know for sure if I'll do that. I might make another Standing Rock hat. I think this is a Standing Rock hat, which is like a long slouchy hat. And it's got a folded over brim as well. At least this one has a folded over brim. I don't know if the pattern does. I don't know. But I think it needs to be something where it is by itself. And it's just it's so squishy. It's got just like, it's got such a slight coarseness. So it's definitely not like merino soft or even like the Rambouillet soft. But it's like the type of coarseness that it is more like, it's just so super soft. It's like, it's super next to skin soft without being like overly ultrafine soft. I don't know how to describe it, but it's beautiful. So continuing on with acquisitions. I don't think we're really in order of when acquired, but we're just going to keep moving. So another thing that I recently picked up is this sock sizing ruler from Twice Sheared Sheep. On one side, it's got inch and centimeter measurements. So from this end, this would be 0. You've got inches, and then you've got centimeters. Nope. Centimeters and inches. And it has instructions for how to use this as well. The idea is that you put the arrow shape, or the arrow end, into the... Oh, this is definitely going to mess up my strands. Into the sock that you're making. And you put that up against either the toe or the heel. So there we go, right up against the end of the heel. And then you work until you get to the line for your size. And then you start the toe or the heel, depending on which direction you went. Because the size is about 2 inches or 1.5 inches or so less than the full size of that foot size. So for instance, for me, the size 9 marked on here is actually, my foot goes to about here. So the size 9 is marked here. My foot is actually this long from this end. My foot is actually that long. And so the idea is that it pretty much for most gauge, once you have knit to here, this is how much is left of your foot. You will then knit the toe, which will only probably take up about this much, so a little bit less, but you want negative ease. And so I actually went ahead and put this up against a different sock that I had made for myself, because I was like, is it really going to be that accurate? And sure enough, and this was a good fitting pair of socks that I had knit, the toe started right there. Like when putting this up against the heel, that's where the toe started. And so I'm really excited to be able to use this, especially if I'm making socks for other people and I know their shoe size and I can just knit to that size number and then do the toe. Or if I'm knitting it toe up, then I can start the heel. I don't normally make toe up socks, but yeah, I think this will come in so extremely handy, especially for making sizes for other people, but also it will allow me to be able to just stick this in my sock project and not have to like lay my sock out and like get the ruler or the tape measure. Anyways, so this will be just really nice to have. So I had, this one's from Twice Sheared Sheep. I think that this is their like proprietary design, but it's basically a snap bracelet, which is why I'm rolling it up. It's made of a really nice like rubber silicone material. It's really, really nice. I really like this. I have considered seeing if I can become a stockist for this this product, but they currently don't have these available on their wholesale website. So I think that I would like some of their other products, but if I am going to stock their brand, I want to also be able to carry this. So I'm going to hold off putting in a wholesale order until those are back in stock. But yeah. Let's see. We got through that. We did the pom-poms. What else is in my bag? Because I have got a bag for acquisition stuff. Oh, I had ordered more yarn from Spincycle, and that's where the 11th hour skeins came from. So I know that they're very close to me, but I just knew that I was not going to be going up to their shop soon. So I had picked up this yarn, but I don't have that to show you in full skeins because it's already caked up and in progress. But I had bought, in my order, I bought 4 skeins of Plump and 1 skein of Dyed in the Wool. So here is the 3rd and 4th skeins for another Gushy garter hat. It's probably color accurate. So this is the Valley Girl colorway. And then, of course, I got the 11th hour. And I had put in the notes that they can choose, because this is like a color shifting yarn, skeins don't always really match up well. You have to kind of go through quite a few. When I was in their store and picking out the yarns for this, I had to pick out like 5 or 6 different skeins before I found 2 that were like a kind of color match. And so in my order notes, I said, for the Plump, any color variation is okay. Like it can be heavy on the blue, heavy on the pink, heavy on the whatever. I said any color variance is okay as long as each colorway, like, skeins match. So these 2 match, and then the 2 11th hour match pretty well. So that's the Valley Girl colorway, and that will become another Gushy garter hat. I don't know if I will be able to get the 3rd one made in the time of the Plump along make along, but maybe. And then I had seen this colorway and really kind of loved it. So this is called Bitter Pill. I don't know if we'll get good color showing on screen here. But I had specifically for this one asked for a chartreuse heavy sort of Bitter Pill. So I think that they did pretty good at matching up with that. And the reason I asked for the chartreuse heavy one is because if you remember, when I went to the Spincycle store, I had bought these 2 skeins to be used together in a project. And I am so super certain that when I'm done making the project, I will have only used less than half of this colorway. And I thought it would be nice to be able to make a second one with a more like coordinating, less contrasty sort of set. So that's why I picked up the Bitter Pill, and I feel happy about that. So these 3 will not be used together in the same project, but I'm going to use them for the same pattern where these 2 will be used together and then these 2 will be used together. So very happy about that. You'll probably also remember that I had picked up these 2 skeins for that same pattern. So at this time, I now have enough to make 3 samples of that pattern, and I should still have loads of leftovers. So I'm not going to talk in depth about the other yarns because those you can visit the last podcast episode for. But yeah, so this is this one that I got is the Spincycle yarns dyed in the wool. It's a sport weight 200 yards of 100% American wool, and it's the colorway Bitter Pill. So very happy about that. And the last kind of brand, I guess, that I had bought from, this was the only thing that I had alluded to 2 weeks ago when I was like, oh, and next time I will have yarn acquisitions from this. But I was waiting for it. So that's actually this. Let me get everything out so that I can show you all of it. Okay, so I had ordered so this is all from Superglow Fiber. I had ordered the Spooky Season mini skein set. This is that mini skein that I had wound up to be the Ooey Gooey socks, and then I immediately decided not to. So it's actually these 6 colors. And since casting on Ooey Gooey and rejecting this, I think that I have figured out what I want to make with this, but just now actually realized that maybe I won't. Because this is supposedly 100% superwash merino. Is that true? Because this says it's the Neo sock base, and it looks identical to the other Neo sock base, and the other Neo sock base is 85% superwash merino and 15% neon Donegal nep. I don't know. I don't think it matters. I think I'm still going to make the same thing that I thought about making. But yeah, it's really cute. It's all of the kind of tonal colorways from the spooky season like collection. I don't know the individual colorway names, but there you go. So that was item number 1 that I'd ordered from Superglow. And I also picked up the October Buttercream Babes. Yeah, October Buttercream Babes colorways. So it's this, like, let me just pull it out of there. So it's this very vibrant, pretty, beautiful yarn. I think this is a 3 or 4 ply. We're just gonna check because I'm curious. It's a 4 ply. Let's see. 437 yards and 100 grams. This says that it is 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon. And then with it came this contrast color, which is also the neon Donegal nep. So yeah, kind of this dark, like dark indigo violet sort of colorway. So I don't know for sure that I will make these like socks with this as a contrast, but I do believe these will be socks. Anyways, I haven't been buying like all of the Buttercream Babes Yarn Club yarns every month. But I saw this one and just really, I just really liked this colorway. So, sorry, I'm trying to put these back in the ball band, which is a little bit of a challenge when it's 2 separate things. But yeah, I really liked that, so I picked up that. And then she had these Trick or Treat Summerween goodie bags in stock. And so I just thought, you know what, let me grab one of those too. I think that these were a special thing that they had at the, not Rhinebeck, but like Cake Palooza or Indie Untangled, whichever event that she was at Rhinebeck. I didn't go. She had these there, and then she put the leftovers in her shop afterwards, and so I grabbed one. So it's this really cute bag, and it's got 2 mini skeins and a couple of other goodies, so I'll take those out and show you. So these are also from her Halloween collection, but they are the variegateds. So this one's called Endless Summer Curse. There we go. And this one is called Hex on the Beach. And yeah, so these are both also on the Neo sock. So 85% superwash merino, 15% neon Donegal nep. And they have 87 yards and in 20 grams. So those are very cute. And then also in the bag is a couple of other things. I have just left all of this in here, so I didn't know what came with it. I mean, I knew that stuff came with it, but I haven't looked at it. These are really cute. So again, some more progress keepers. I'm gonna have to become a progress keeper kind of person because now I have so many of them. So some glittery flowers and then a kind of iridescent smiley face with a star for the eye. And then the other little thing in here, is this a sticker? I think it's a sticker and maybe stitch stoppers. So like the little rubber silicone guys that you put at the end of your needles to prevent your stitches from sliding off. And I very rarely use those, so I might re-gift these. So it's got a little super glow fiber trick-or-treat bucket. And yeah, some little flower stitch stoppers. Cute. Okay, I'm gonna quickly tuck these back in here because this has made a bit of a mess on my writing desk, and I don't usually care too much about messes on my writing desk, but if we can kind of do a tiny bit of tidying up as we go and put at least this stuff back in this little pouch, there we go. Nope, come on, there we go. And the final item that I had ordered from Superglow, and the most important item, is still in packaging, so let me just... is this. You might have seen this before, but I promise you it's a different skein. I had shown this maybe in episode 1 or 2. This is the Hollow Tonals Neo Sock in the colorway Green Eyes. And I had talked about how I was going to use that skein as the contrast stripes in a Straya cardigan. If you're familiar, the Straya cardigan is a half fisherman's rib cardigan pattern by Andrea Mowry, and it has kind of thick stripes of a main color and thinner stripes of, I think, 5 different or 6 different contrast colors. And I had decided that I wanted to use one contrast color, and I wanted it to be this bright green with the neon neps that I had picked up at Flock Fiber Fest in Seattle this past year, 2025. But I realized that one skein would be not enough. I would need about 1 1/3 skeins to make my size, having this as the contrast color. So I wanted to make sure that I could get this before she fully sold out, because I don't know that she is dyeing this color again. And so I got a second skein of it. So that I would have 2, and then whenever I make the Straya cardigan and finish it in the long-term future from now, I will have about 65 to 75 grams of this left, at which point it will likely become socks and might, I don't know. I don't know when that'll be. This will just get tucked away with the other skein because I still don't have a main color for it. I just know that I want this to be the contrast color. A little silly note about this is when I ordered this, she actually sent me the DK weight skein, and I'm waiting to hear back from her if she can invoice me for it, because I actually kind of want to keep the DK weight skein also, so that I can make like a cute bright hat for like when I go for walks, for like kind of high visibility. So I'm just waiting for her to tell me that I can have the DK weight skein, and I want to pay for it. I'm just waiting for her to invoice me for it. It's no longer on her website, so I can't just like order it and put a note that says, hey, this is the one I already have, don't send another. It's not even on her website anymore, so I need to tell her that I want to keep it. So until I pay for it, I'm not taking it out of the plastic that it was sent in. Just in the event that she goes, actually, no, due to inventory, I already need to like have that one back to send to somebody else who's already purchased it, or whatever in that instance. She did send this out really fast to me though. She was like, hey, I'm super sorry. And she resent it in the right base. But now I'm waiting to figure out if I need to send back the DK weight skein. She already sent me a prepaid shipping label for it, but if she's able to cancel that and let me pay for it, I want to keep the DK weight as well. So just waiting to hear back from her on that. So that is all the like major acquisitions that I have, and that took way too long. But I actually still have more, and it's not what you think. Even if you think it is what you think, it's not what you think. I went to, oh, I just realized I was supposed to go to knit group today. I normally go every other weekend. I forgot about it. I don't know if they were meeting today anyways because of the post-holiday. Whatever. They're just going to have to wait to see my face in a couple weeks. Or not. I don't know. I don't know if any of the people at knit group like me. It feels like a kind of frosty group to enter into. Everybody seems friendly, but it seems like polite friendliness. So I don't know. Anyways, 2 weeks ago after knit group, during knit group, somebody had mentioned there was a sort of kind of yarn garage sale, yarn estate sale for somebody who'd passed away, who was like a big knitter, spinner, weaver person. And I got there kind of a couple of hours after it started, so I think it was really picking through the dredges of it. But I did find some good stuff. I'm keeping everything in plastic because I've been doing like a freeze thaw in an effort to hopefully maybe if there are any bug issues, which I don't think there will be, but in an effort to kind of combat that, I've been keeping everything in my freezer. So what I've got here is, I believe these are fingering weight of some type of wool. So also these two are the same. And I think it's sock yarn. So I don't know exactly how I'll use these, but this is kind of a burgundy red. This one up here is Knit Picks Gloss Fingering, which I believe is like a wool silk. So that's a full skein of that, and it's got a label on it. This is some type of mohair, and it looks like mostly like a full cake of that. And then down here is 2 skeins of Lopi Icelandic wool. And there were a few more of this, but I only took 2 of them. I'm a little bit regretting not grabbing the other colors, and I don't know what I'll do with it, but it was just, I wanted to grab the nice like wool, and I think the nice wool was mostly gone by the time I got there. And I didn't pay very much for this. There were brown paper bags, and if you filled a brown paper bag, it was $5. So I'm only showing you about half of what I got because the other stuff, I'm not totally sure what it is. And a little bit of it is like frogged projects. But this is the stuff I'm most excited about. So it didn't come in this bag. I put it in this bag, but I was able to get about double what I'm about to show you, all for $5. And then, like I mentioned, she was also a kind of prolific hand spinner. And so what this is 4 skeins. It's in like a sheets bag, like you would buy bed sheets in. So forgive me for that, but that's what it came in, and I'm leaving it in that until I use it. But this is 4 skeins of hand spun yarn. I apologize for all of the glare that the bag is making, but I think you can kind of really see what's going on. And so there's a tag here, and I'll read it to you. Artist Gladys Howard from the Whidbey Weavers Guild, Uncommon Threads 2011. So I think this was like maybe a spin together. Fiber content, 100% wool, care hand wash. It doesn't have a weight, but it looks to be about a worsted to Aran weight. Let's see. There is nothing on it about... There's nothing on it about even like a grist or anything like that. But yeah, so it's this lovely like teal color, 4 skeins of hand spun. I don't know like the weight of each skein. Oh, let's see. One of them isn't a ball. Yeah, one of them's already balled up. So it's 1, 2, 3, 3 skeins and a ball. And yeah, so I'm not totally sure what the yardage is. But when I saw that it was such a large quantity of the same fiber, hand spun, I just thought that would be such a treat to have. So I also threw that in the brown paper bag. And then once the bag was full, I was done and I paid my $5 and I left. But those need to go back into the deep freezer. So let's see. Let me just really quickly talk about kind of updates, announcements, etc. And then we will be on our way. This is way too long, but it is what it is. It's okay. So let's see. Not this past Tuesday, right before Thanksgiving, but the Tuesday before, my husband and I went to see the Happy Fits in Seattle. The Happy Fits is kind of a pop rock band out of, I think, New Jersey or Philadelphia, somewhere on the East Coast. And their lead singer is a classically trained cellist. And so he plays the cello, like strapped to his body like you would a guitar of some type. And he plays the cello while he's singing. It's the most fun, like, rock show experience that I've ever experienced. So that was really super fun, and I've been listening to the Lovesick album now on repeat. And it's just such a bop. I love it so much. So we had a really great time. I wanted to talk about that only because, like, I just had so much fun, and I think it's worth talking about. If you are not if you've never heard of the Happy Fits, they're still kind of like an indie rock group. Like the venue, we went to see them at the Showbox venue in Seattle, which primarily shows like indie level bands. It's all standing room only, so my feet were killing me at the end of the evening. I am too old for standing shows, but it was an absolute blast, and I would do the whole night all over again. Like, it was so extremely fun. The other thing is I don't even have them to show you. Why didn't I grab them? Okay, so I will make an effort to put a picture here. But if you remember I could just look at my notes. The first episode and the second episode. Yep, episode 2. Go ahead and watch episode 2. You can skip ahead to recently finished projects if you never watched the video and don't want to watch it. I talked about the reverse Fleegle heel socks by Abby of What I Knit. And I had knit both a DK weight, one color only pair, and a fingering weight with a contrast color pair of the reverse Fleegle heel socks as a test. And so the reverse Fleegle heel pattern is out now. It is free to download on Ravelry. It is just the heel pattern, so you can insert it into any cuff down sock pattern that you wish. It is a cuff down Fleegle heel. Normally a Fleegle heel is knit as a toe up cuff, and this is a cuff down version. And so it is available now. It's the reverse Fleegle heel. There is a knit along starting on December 1st, and I think it lasts all of December, but it might only last through Christmas. And I believe it's called like Fa La 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 Fleegle or something like that. She gave it a cute name. You can go over to Instagram and find What I Knit, Abby, to see the graphic for that. And the details. She made a whole post. Anyways, it's the reverse Fleegle heel pattern. There is a knit along coming up for it. You can knit any cuff down heel pattern that you want as long as you insert the reverse Fleegle heel into that pattern. I am very excited about that. I'm fully going to participate, so definitely next time you might see a pair or a couple pair of reverse Fleegle heel incorporated socks. I don't know if I will do like plain vanilla type socks again for the next pair, because that's the first two pairs that I made, the DK and the fingering weight, were both just kind of a plain sock recipe pattern that I use. So I don't know if I will do that again. I might utilize those cute little toddler size sock blockers and make some toddler socks for my niece. I mean, her birthday is not until middle of next year. She's a summer baby, but I might start stockpiling that for her. So yeah, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna make, but I am participating in that, and I'm realizing that I'm really doing a lot of like make-alongs right now. I didn't do this on purpose. I don't know. I think maybe I got a little carried away with it. The Andrea Mowry sock challenge, the Plump along, my hat make-along, and now the reverse Fleegle heel knit along. But I'm still excited about all of it. So, and the sock challenge by Andrea Mowry is such a short-term one. If I don't finish it, I will probably slow down on knitting those socks, but I really think that I can finish it by tomorrow night. So yeah, we'll see. Because those don't have to be gifted until Christmas time, I will be able to show you those socks finished 2 weeks from now, so don't worry too much that they will be gifted away before I show you. I'll still show them to you. That is, I think, everything I've got now. I think that was all of the announcements that I wanted to make. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I also feel like I read everything that I had written down. So if I forgot something, it's because I didn't write it down, and that's on me. Oh, I might be doing Vlogmas. You're gonna have to wait until like December 1st or 2nd to find out. And at that point I will have posted something. I don't believe it will interfere with doing my regular podcast schedule because it's already only every 2 weeks. And if I do Vlogmas, I might only post like every couple of days, like just kind of put some footage from a few days together, just depending on what I record. I might not do it at all. This is one of those things where I don't want to make promises that I won't keep, but I do want to kind of put the idea out there that I might do daily or semi-daily posting through December for the lead up to the holidays. Oh, that's what I forgot to show you. I'm gonna really quickly pause the recording because I do have one more acquisition to show you that I didn't buy that I won. So let me grab that. I, in the time that I paused, had to rip open the package because it just got here today. So I won a giveaway for a make-along. It was the Boston Jen Yarn Cozy make-along. I know that I talked about this in the first 2 episodes, but I had made a bunch of the yarn cozies, which none of my projects have on them right now, so I can't show them to you. But I made a bunch of them, and I entered them in the Cozy Up challenge or whatever for the Boston Jen, for the Boston Jen pigskin party. Anyways, and I won, and the prize was a sort of adventure advent that Natalie put together using leftover yarns from her 50 States blanket. And so that has arrived. And so she even packaged them in these cute little numbered muslin bags. Isn't that so nice? There is a little card that I will read, and she emailed me a document that has the details for each yarn. So I will probably print that out before I do this. But I have an advent to open, which I wasn't anticipating. I bought a tea advent that I plan to open every day leading up to Christmas. But I don't usually do yarn advents, but now I have one because I won one. Anyway, so Natalie is so organized. She put days 1 through 13 14 through 25. And yeah, I'll have to read what the note says, but I'm very excited. That arrived today. The tracking wasn't having it arriving until Monday, which is why it's kind of a last minute edition, but yeah, I'm very excited. So see, this is even more reason that I should do Vlogmas, even if it's just a clip of me every day opening the yarn and maybe making something with it. I have kind of an idea, and I will tell you in day 1 of Vlogmas what the idea is, what I want to make with these. But yeah, I think that like that's a good enough reason to just record a little snippet every day of me drinking my daily tea and working on my daily yarn. What do you think of that? Please tell me that you would watch that. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna let you all go. I will see you probably December 1st or 2nd, maybe. If I post day 1 on day 2, it's still me seeing you December 1st, even if you don't watch it till the 2nd, right? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, I'm excited, and I will see you on the 1st, and then also I will see you in 2 weeks for a regular podcast. Okay. That is everything. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this video. I'm sorry it's not as polished as my other ones. And yeah, I will see you in the next episode. I will see you in Vlogmas. Thank you again for watching. I hope that you like the video, like actually did the little thumbs up thing. And also subscribe to the channel, because that way you will have all the videos in your feed and it helps me out. Okay. Okay, bye. Okay. Immediately after turning off the camera, I opened this little envelope. Isn't this card so cute? But I wanted to show you these. So she sent some stickers along with it. She's the Love and Stitches with Knitty Natty. But look at this. Isn't that so cute? That is Natalie and Kent's dog Toaster. Isn't that so cute? I love watching their videos, mostly for Toaster, but also Natalie is really sweet. But look at him. Anyways, so super duper cute. I am excited about that. Yeah. Okay. Now I need to edit this and get it uploaded.